Hello my friends, it's Gabriel with The Last Huntsman Outdoors again. I am super excited about this knife. This was one that I've wanted for a while and I haven't been able to get my hands on one until just recently, and that's the Work Tuff Gear Wolverine. Let's check this knife out. Alright, so this is the Work Tuff Gear Wolverine. It's right at about a 6-inch blade. A 6-inch blade. This one is an SK85. Now these are going to be re-releasing. This is a model that's been with Work Tuff Gear for a while, but they're kind of having a re-release of it, and they're going to be coming out an SK85 steel like this one is, and a new steel A8 mod, which from my understanding is kind of like a really souped up AUS 10 or AUS 8 steel. So for you guys that likes and leans on stainless steel more, that might be a pretty good option. Actually, I'll get a knife to compare this to. And just so you guys can have something to compare this to, this is the good old classic SE6 next to it. So if you like something that's about SE6 size, but you kind of hate that choil, the Wolverine might be the perfect knife for you. And yeah, I'm very excited to get using this blade. Let's try it out. Actually, I'm going to show you guys the sheath real quick. Here is the sheath. I've been bringing this knife out quite a bit with me since I got it. I like the sheath that it comes with, actually. And it came with this nylon drop on it with a Velcro and snap on it, so you can actually put it on and take it off your belt without having to take your belt off, which if you're a guy like me that's always packing a lot of stuff on my belt, that's actually a pretty nice little addition. Locks in really good. No rattle. And it's not like as big of a footprint as the mountain lion that I got. Undo a little bit of batoning here. Big knot through this piece here. It's coming along. Just yeah, that was a massive knot right through the middle of that. Went right through the middle of that knot. So I don't blame the knife at all for that. That was just a very hard, knotty piece. Cedar can either be kind of average to baton, or it can be a real bastard to baton, depending on the knots. SK85 steel. Went right through that. Alright, so here's the small tree that I downed using the Nomad Bushcrafter. Just going to do some delimbing with the Wolverine. For its size, this knife actually has quite a bit of power to it. Just popping right through those limbs like it's nothing. And something that I will say too, the handles, the way it flares out like that, actually lends themselves really good for some chopping tasks. while we're doing some chopping, let's just do a little bit more. This ain't gonna be some like heavy chopper, but if you're just wanting like a good belt knife, camp knife, this knife's actually gonna serve you really well. And I've always found that a knife with a broad, wide blade like that and a high saber grind, I've just really have always gravitated towards that. And I will also say the Aurora Borealis knives from Work Tuff Gear are actually some of my favorite designs. Just take down a small tree here. Tree was bouncing quite a bit, so probably could have went through a little easier if it wasn't, but it does pretty good for its size. Another task I'm going to do is I'm just going to do some slicing. I'm just going to do that Ninja Death Grip too, kind of get a feel for it. Now this one was designed by Alex with Aurora Borealis knives. I'm pretty good with the slicing, as expected with that broad, wide blade. And the ergonomics actually feels really good. It has a thumb divot there. Thumb just locks right into it. And this one is a little thinner than the Mountain Lion. The Mountain Lion was more of like a 1/4 inch thick. This is more of like 3/16. And quite frankly, I like the feel of this one a little better in hand. And it's just an overall lighter and more handier knife than the Mountain Lion. But I'm very impressed. I'm just going to do as one of my usual tests here. Just going to do some notches, and I'm going to do a cross grain baton. Pop the little square notch right into there and do more of a tent stake. Dig in a little deeper with that one. Bit in real good. Pretty good little notch, and we're just going to go ahead and cross grain baton the whole thing. All right, I'm just going to cut some material with it, some rope here, and as expected, it just glides right through that rope. It doesn't even, like nothing. The 90-degree spine. Actually just ripping that bark and making some nice fluff there. I did a little bit more earlier. So the spine is pretty sharp. Let's check it with a ferro rod. I'm not going to worry about fire right now. This ain't the best ferro rod, but knife does have a great 90-degree spine. Use the Wolverine a bit more. I'm going to try to do some more feather sticks here. I actually find that this one is easier to use even over the mountain lion. Mountain lion having that choil, but the more I use this one, the more I like it over even the mountain lion. I'm also going to try to use the sharp spine too to see if I can get fire going. I'm also going to get some fat wood here and get some just fine little feathers with it. And I may even, oh, I will actually. I'll even use the 90-degree spine. Getting a nice little bundle of fatwood shavings right there. Wolverine here, Work Tuff Gear, designed by Alex with Aurora Borealis. Let's see if I can get a little fire going here. There. Oh. Thing's torching a little bit, but not quite. And there we go. I love some fat wood and cedar combination here. Work Tuff Gear Wolverine. It's a pretty amazing knife. So right off the bat, I'm going to make a statement here. Alex with Aurora Borealis Knives does not advertise this as like a combat knife by any means whatsoever. That being said, me picking a knife for like a potential combat knife, this one actually fills a lot of roles that I do like. It's not too slippery, it indexes very well, it has a deep guard on it, and it's about the size that I like. So we're going to go ahead and try this out and just kind of see how it feels. All right, I'm going to try to do some stabbing. All right. It stabs decently, and of course it would do the trick. It's not really a great stabber. Like, I'm getting a good 3/4 of an inch to an inch or so in. It's not really a great stabber, but obviously it's not meant to be a stabber. It's a pretty wide, broad blade with a lot of belly to it. That being said, it does slash very well, and it does feel great in hand. It's quick, it's maneuverable, and it's hard to explain, but when you just look at pictures of them, the mountain lion looks about the same as this knife, exception for it's just a little longer and with the choil. However, when you get them in hand, they feel like totally different knives, and this actually feels so much more agile. This one feels like a SE6 with just a better blade, quite frankly. Especially with that wider, broader blade. I actually really like this knife, and I don't think it would be a bad soldier blade. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the review of the Work Tuff Gear Wolverine. So right off the bat, I'm going to just straight up say this. Kudos, Alex, with Aurora Borealis Knives. I really like this knife. like I said, originally when I was looking, or when I got the mountain lion, I was actually looking for the Wolverine, and I'm so glad that I finally got one. And I'm gonna straight up say this: there's probably a handful of knives that are my favorite Work Tuff Gear knives, and this is one of them. I like this one even better than the mountain lion. I feel like it's a little bit better balanced, and it feels more like a better companion belt knife versus the mountain lion. Almost starts to feel like it's a bit bigger of a knife, and just the weight and the balance of it. The ergonomics on this feels great. Honestly, I kind of wish I had this one for my medium knife showdown. I actually think this one would have done really good with it. But that being said, I highly suggest this knife. And to take note, all right, these will be re-releasing on February the 15th, and they will be available in both SK85 steel, that good old nice crusty carbon steel, and A8 Max, if I recall right. Yeah, A8 Max. I might have said it wrong earlier. But that being said, so check out Work Tuff Gear and see when they come out, and be pretty much just be ready. Highly suggest this knife. With all that being said, we'll finish this video up. Be prepared both physically and spiritually. God bless, and carry on.